الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم قال: سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت: دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال: السلام عليك يا فاطمة. فقلت: عليك السلام. قال: إني أجد في بدني ضعفا. فقلت له: أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال: يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به. فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلأله كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال: يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله. فقلت: نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي: يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت: نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جداه، السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال: السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال: يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت: نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له: وعليك السلام ويا أخي ووسيي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. ثم أتيته نحو الكساء وقلت: السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ وقال: وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرفي الكساء وأومى بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال: اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم، وعدو لمن أعاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال الله عز وجل: يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي، إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل: يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل: هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال جبرائيل: يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله: نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرأك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام، ويقول لك: وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم، فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام: يا أمين وحي الله، إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء، فقال لأبي: إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال علي لأبي: يا رسول الله، أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي: والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض، وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا، إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي: إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي ثانيا: يا علي، والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض، وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا، وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه، ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه، ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي: إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا، وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل. حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله
पर मोहम्मदिन वाले मोहम्मद सलावात। Quran counting is in session right now, brothers. Suratul Mubarakatul Fatiha.
और मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सलावत। या रब्बे हक शाह खुरासाली रज़ा, कर ले कबूल आज हमारी तू ये दुआ। या रब्बे हक शाह खुरासाली रज़ा, कर ले कबूल आज हमारी तू ये दुआ। अहमद नबी का मोहरे नबूवत का वास्ता, मासूम इमामों की इमामत का वास्ता। बिनते नबी की चादरे इस्मत का वास्ता, ज़ैनब असीर हम की इबादत का वास्ता। या रब्बे हक शाह खुरासाली रज़ा, कर ले कबूल आज हमारी तू ये दुआ। इमदाद तलब है हमें क्यों देर है मौला, हर चार तरफ देखिए अंधेर है मौला। ये क्या सबब कि ज़िंदगी भी जहर है मौला, कह दो हमें एक बार के सब खैर है मौला। या रब्बे हक शाह खुरासाली रज़ा, कर ले कबूल आज हमारी तू ये दुआ। जुल्मों सितम की काली घटा दूर हो मौला, जो रंजो गम में दिल में वो मसरूर हो मौला। हो कर्ज अदा उनके जो मकरूज हो मौला, आफत से मुसीबत से हम महफूज हो मौला। या रब्बे हक शाह खुरासाली रज़ा, कर ले कबूल आज हमारी तू ये दुआ। जो है मरीज उनको शिफा दीजिए आका, लुत्फ़ो करम की उन पे नज़र कीजिए आका। रहमत से उनकी झोलियों भर दीजियो आका, साइल को न महरूम कभी कीजियो आका। या रब्बे हक के शाह खुरासाली रज़ा, कर ले कबूल आज हमारी तू ये दुआ। करबल की ज़ियारत की तमन्ना है ये दिल में, और हज बेत रब की तमन्ना है ये दिल में। आए हम खुरासान तमन्ना है ये दिल में, दिलवाई ये मुराद ये अरमान है दिल में। या रब्बे हक के शाह खुरासाली रज़ा, कर ले कबूल आज हमारी तू ये दुआ। और मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु।
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Sayyid Hasan Rizvi, respected elders, brothers, sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On the joyous occasion of the birth anniversary of Imam Ar-Ridah alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and the Managing Committee, we wish you all Kushali Mubarak. Surah Fatiha is requested for all the names listed on the screen, and Kul Arwahil Mu'mineen wal Mu'minat, Sawab al-Fatiha. Hayat Mayyajibun is requested for all the names listed on the screen, and whoever is in need of it here and elsewhere. Let us all recite it together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibul mustarra idha da'ah wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibul mustarra idha da'ah wa yakshifu as-su'. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Now let us invite Sayyid to come forward to recite tonight's madlis. Par Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبه نستعين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، خاتم النبيين، شفيع المذنبين، رحمة للعالمين، سيدنا والنبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا والطبيب ذنوبنا، أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين السيدين الصادقين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لترى بمقدمه الفداء الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد صلوات على محمد وآل محمد Mu'mineen, mu'minat, brothers and sisters in Islam and Iman, Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One day, when the children of our seventh holy Imam, Imam Musa ibn Ja'far al-Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ala. All of his children were gathered around him. And at one point, one of his children had walked by. And when this child walked by, he told the rest of his children, Inna ibni hadha, this child of mine, yamutu fi ardin ghurba. He will die in a land ghurba, in a state of ghurba, as a stranger, as a gharib. فَمَنْ زَارَهُ مُسَلِّمًا لِأَمْرِ. Whoever performs his ziyarah, musallim, submitting to his commands, to his amr, arifan bihaqqihi, somebody who has ma'rifah and true deep understanding of his rights and his reality, kana indallah azza wajal kashuhadahi badr. Somebody who does ziyarah with all these conditions in mind, they are like a shaheed of Badr. And of course, this son that had passed by, the seventh Imam, was none other than our eighth holy Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa Ar-Ridah alayhi salatu wasalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Why was it important for the Imam to mention that this child, the eighth Imam, that he'll be a gharib? Why is that important? Now, normally when we talk about the Imam, we say he's gharib al-ghuraba. And typically the explanations that we get is that he was taken away from his family, right? He was far off. And that makes sense in terms of what the word gharib or ghurba means, right? Gharib just normally is translated as a stranger or a foreigner, right? And it comes from the word ghurba, which indicates on something being remote, something being far away and distant, right? On bu'ad and nawa. So a gharib in its essential meaning is anything that's distance, anything that's far away from its true deep meaning, its true area and kind of headquarters. So sometimes Arabs would use the word gharib for a word that they didn't understand. They would say like, this word is gharib to us. You know, it's strange to us, it's foreign. It's a foreign word, we don't know what it means. They would also use another derivative of the word gharib is maghrib, meaning the west. Why? Because they understood things in their area, which was the east, al-mashriq. But al-maghrib, the west, that was an area unknown to them. So because it was strange, it was foreign, unknown, they called that al-maghrib. Now, why is it again that the eighth Imam is gharib al-ghuraba? Why is he the most remote and the most distant, the most, foreign? Why? So Sayyid Hashim al-Haddad, the teacher of famous Arif, Ayatollah Muhammad Hussein Tehrani, may Allah bless both of their souls. He said that there's a physical explanation and a metaphysical explanation. Something that's maddi, material, and something that's ghair maddi, immaterial. The material one, we all know, right? That obviously he's an Imam that's far away from all of his family. He was taken away, and he's even buried away from his family. So that much we know. The metaphysical aspect, though, is something that we should open up. And it relates to the conversations and discussions that we've been having for these past few weeks. You see, we have to understand the history of these zalimeen and the fasiqeen and these various khulafa who had stolen power. Right? We had started with the first individuals, these first quote-unquote sahaba, who had stolen the right of the first Imam. They had claimed khilafah and had continued on to the Umayyads and then later on to the Abbasids. Right? And now, around the seventh and the eighth Imam, we've moved towards the Abbasid era. Ma'mun seizes power. He looks out in front of him. He's looking at the Muslim world, the Islamic empire. And like any good ruler, or corrupt ruler, I guess, would do, is he has to understand the platform, the pitfalls, positives, negatives, enemies, friends, allies, all of these things, right? To make sure that he holds power and he can strengthen his rule and make it last. So when he looks out, of course, he has to look at his predecessors. These khulafa who came before him. What did they do? And what he saw was that in every step of the way, the Alawis, the Shias, were always a thorn in the side of the khulafa. Every single time they were causing mischief and havoc. So, these lovers of Ali, the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, what sort of steps did these previous khulafa take? Most of them was fear, intimidation, acting like thugs, imprisonment. This sort of physical attacks and violence, right? Which of course culminated in Karbala as sort of the greatest ones. But it continued on afterwards after that as well. So when he looks out at this, he says, look, they kept doing this. These previous khulafa, they kept doing this over and over and over again, but the Shias got stronger and stronger and stronger, right? He's looking at the example of the 6th Imam. He's seeing that from the 5th and the 6th and even the 7th, this wikala system, the support system for the Ahlul Bayt, the Imams, was getting stronger and stronger. He said that means the previous khulafa, their efforts of trying to eliminate Shiism failed. He said, so I need to take a new strategy. I need to rethink what to do here. The sort of normal sort of warfare against the Alawis, the Shias, he's like, that's clearly not going to work. It's going to be a thorn in my side and they're going to turn against me. So I need to take a new strategy. And as we famously know, if you can't beat them, join them. So this is the tactic that he changed. He said, you know what I'm going to do? The mistake they made is they tried to beat the Shias. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to pretend like I'm one of them. I'm going to act like one of them. And in fact, according to some narrations, he actually did believe in the leadership of the Ahlul Bayt. In all senses of the word, he was a Shia. But of course, he had love of the world. So he said, you know what, I'm going to be the leader. I don't really care that these Imams truly deserve Khilafah. I'm the real leader here. But he still had the basic ideas and he understood Shiism and the Aqa'id and all of that stuff, which also meant he knew how to manipulate the Shias as well. Because once he learned their belief system, once he learned what made them tick, he also learned where their gaps were, where their holes were, where he could punch greater holes and tear their aqidah apart and tear that wikala system apart. He said, that's how I can destroy the support system of the Imams. That's how I can make sure that nobody rises up against me, by joining their ranks, pretending like I'm one of them, and bringing their Imam close to me, and pretending like he's going to be the leader after me. If I can do this, and he's seen that, the Shia are very gullible, they can be easily fooled, I'll use this to my advantage, and not only will the Shia not attack me, not only will they not curse me, but they'll become my greatest supporters. And this is the tactic that he had learned, and then many of his descendants had continued on. So our series that we've been talking about was about how to build a wilaya-ready community, how to build this wikala system in our communities. So what we want to do tonight is look at this. Ghurba, in one sense, in this metaphysical sense, is also a reason why the Imam was so strange and remote and distant. Not just because of the physical stuff, not just because he was away from his family and supporters in Medina, but also because the Shias that he was around made him feel like a stranger. The ones that claimed that they loved the Ahlul Bayt, that they were Alawis and Shias, that were around him in Khurasan, in Persia or Iran, right? Modern day Persia, Iran. The ones that were all around him, that were his lovers and supporters, made him feel alone. That tanhayi, that loneliness, that alienation, the ghurba, what made him gharib was this, according to Sayyid Hashim Haddad, that he was a wali, he was an imam, surrounded by Shias only in the physical sense. But in the real, deepest sense of the meaning of wilaya, he had nobody to support him. And it's because of specific types of behavior. So, in our continuation of the series, what we want to talk about is the type of ghurba that is both faced by leadership in a wikala or wilaya system, but also faced by those mu'mineen and individuals in a community who are trying to strive and create that system to be ready for the return of the 12th Imam, Ajjalallahu ta'ala faraju sharif. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. So, what we're going to be talking about tonight is the ghurba that exists within community building. What makes you and I gharib in our own communities? And what makes certain individuals of certain other ranks, what makes them gharib as well? First, we're going to look at a narration attributed to our fifth Imam, Imam al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad wa ajal. So he's reported to have said, An-nas kulluhum baha'im. He says, people, humans, all of them are animals. Pretty harsh way to start. Like, okay, Imam, I'm sure there's going to be an illa after that, right? Like, except, right? Yeah, he does say illa. So everybody, all humans, all people are like animals. Except, illa qalilun min al-mu'minin. Except not all mu'minin, just a few groups, a few individuals among the mu'mineen. Okay, so he's making it sound very, very, tough over here. And then this is the caveat. Wal mu'min gharib. This kind of mu'min that we're talking about, this one that is not an animal like everybody else, they are gharib. They're alone. They're lost. They're alienated. They're a stranger. How is that the case, right? And he ends, وَطُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَى. And may blessings, right, happiness be upon these mu'mineen, right? These ghuraba, these people who are strange. So what kind of loneliness and alienation is he talking about? Because it's very possible that, mu'mineen, like all of you, gathered in one building, we're all together, right? So do we feel any sort of alienation or ghurba right now? What exactly is the Imam talking about? It doesn't seem like he could be addressing this from the physical perspective. That seems highly unlikely. So again, it must be something immaterial, something metaphysical. So how can we figure that out? Well, I think we can understand in our own life examples. Think about if you've ever been sitting around individuals, right, in a baraza or amongst your friends or family members, and a certain topic comes up. Maybe you're a person who strives to be a better Muslim, a better mu'min. You want to do better. You want to spiritually progress. You know you're not perfect, and you're trying to do better. And in every single moment of your life, you're trying to think about, okay, what can I do to become more of a perfect human being? How can I follow in the footsteps of the Ahlul Bayt? How can I help create a wilaya, wikala ready system in our community? What can I do, right? So this is always on your mind. And you're sitting around with, maybe family members, extended family, in a baraza, in a gathering, whatever it is. But the conversation that comes up is something that completely, not just disinterests you, but something that is completely antithetical to what you stand for. Right? You want to talk about things which are going to be good for your soul, good for your spiritual progression. But then you hear, right, whatever, it's just talk about stocks or crypto or sports or something else that you have no interest in whatsoever. So what happens is your heart feels alienated. You feel like I don't belong here. And I'm sure many of you, I can't say many, right? Because half the conversation I hear is about crypto and sports and things like that. So I can't say many, but at least some of you probably feel like that. You're sitting in the conversation and you're like, this doesn't interest me. This has nothing to do with my akhirah. Right? How is this going to help me? And technically we can say it the other way too, right? Maybe you're the type that wants to talk about sports and stocks and investing and crypto or cars or movies, whatever, like me. Like when I talk about movies and Loki, obviously we have to do tafsir on Loki, right? Now that 2 episodes are out, it's deep, it's very deep. Inshallah, to wait for the tafsir sessions, we'll talk about it. But not everybody's interested in that. So you may be sitting there wanting to talk about what's going on in the world like that. And then everybody else around you is like, oh, let's talk about this ayah of Quran, or let's talk about this hadith. And you're like, I don't want to talk about that stuff. That stuff's boring. So that ghurba, that alienation is still going to be felt by you. When people are not on the same wavelength, when the people around you, your friends, your family, your group, your clique, if you're not literally clicking with them, then you're going to feel alone. You might be sitting with them. You might have the same taste in jokes maybe. What was that? You might be on the same wavelength for a few things, right? Maybe you like the same movies and same music and same TV shows, or I don't know, same food, whatever it is. But in terms of your life goals, what you're trying to achieve, there's no equality whatsoever. It's completely different objectives and different things. In that sense, I'm sure most of you, probably all of you have felt that at some point. You're sitting in a place, in a gathering, and you're just like, you know what, I don't belong here. I feel lost. And you feel so alienated and so lost, and it's almost like you're imprisoned. You're sitting there like in that gathering, and you're almost frozen, like, I don't even want to move. What do I do? Because you don't want to be the person that says, you know, I don't want to talk about this and get up and walk away. Because you don't want to feel like, you know, I'm better than everybody else. This is not for me. So it's a strange, strange position to be in. So perhaps this is what the fifth Imam is talking about here. For a mu'min, somebody who has their life goal of trying to get to Allah, the ghurba for them is that everything for them is qurba, meaning qurbatan ilallah. I want to try to get closer to Allah. But they're looking for people to talk to. Hey, let's sit down, let's have conversations. No, it doesn't always have to be like, oh, let's talk about Quran and Hadith. Maybe it would be that, hey, let's do tafsir of Loki, for example. Maybe that's what they want to talk about, right? But they can't find people on that same wavelength, and that makes them feel lonely. Perhaps this is what the Imam is talking about. And we can see this from other narrations. For example, look at this one from Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salatu wassalam. And he uses the exact same word that we're talking about here, ghurba, right? Being alienated. He says, فَقْدُ الْأَحِبَّ غُرْبَةً. The lack or deficiency, not having ahibba, close friends, real close friends, is ghurba. That's being alienated. Now look, we can all have superficial friends, like I said. And I think most of us, that's how we've been raised. People who have been in the same grade as me, or their neighbors. We have superficial reasons for why we pick friends. And that would be okay for a certain degree. But a lot of us maybe want friends at a higher level. We want people that we can actually look up to, right? And they say the same thing in the business world. If you're actually trying to become successful, never find people around you that are not successful, right? If you are the most successful in the group, you're never going to achieve anything else. You're never going to get better. He said, if you're really trying to learn a certain trade or a business, you need to surround yourself with people who excel at it, who are professionals, who are excellent in their trade. The same thing, if what you want to do is excel in your spirituality, then you have to start picking and hanging around people like that. Now, I'm not saying dump all the people who don't talk about that, but you have to limit your interactions, because all of their spiritual traits or deficiencies are going to end up rubbing off on you as well. If all of their conversations are not something that you like, well, that's going to hurt you at the end of the day, and nobody wants to go through that pain. So yeah, sometimes we have to sit around maybe family members that we don't get along with. That's okay, right? They're going to talk about things that, oh, how's the weather? Like, okay, look, it's Florida, man. What do you mean, how's the weather? We all know how the weather is. You don't have to talk about that, right? Or this team or that team. Everybody's watching the same stuff. We all know what's going on, right? But some people, that's the only conversation they know. So you deal with it, you tolerate it, you're like, smile, alhamdulillah, it's hot outside, right? Oh, it's raining, it's wet, whatever. Okay. And the people then, in order to fill your heart, to fill your spiritual progression, you go out now and you find individuals that can help you. And that might take some effort. But there are always going to be people available in your local community, guaranteed. Allah will never leave you alone. There will always be people in your community, and very well in this community as well, who are striving and who are trying to do better. And if we look for that, hopefully that'll help us remove that ghurba from our own community. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This is one type of ghurba, of being alienated, is when you don't have people, close, real friends and confidants on the same level as you. There's another type as well. Yeah, I had a few listed. I think I'm going to skip. Yeah, I'll skip that one. And just a quick note to the media team. I normally, because we're going to have a quiz later, but I won't be able to see it because I'm not connected to the internet's not working. So I don't know if you have to reset it or something so I can see it later on. But if you could do that, that would be helpful to me. Sorry, one more salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Okay. There's something else too, and this is also about the behavior that you and I have with one another. And this type of behavior can make us feel alienated and gharib in our own communities. It can destroy us. Now, what is this? We all have different levels of knowledge when it comes to members of the community, right? Some of us, because it does feel like a family, right? So we all have a decent level of knowledge about everybody's habits, about their family backgrounds, about their, let's say, job situations. We have some level of knowledge about, I think, most people here, which is good. We're supposed to know that. Sometimes we know a little bit extra. We know some deep information that could be very damaging to somebody's name. We may be privy to that information, whereas other individuals in the community may not know that. I'll give you my own example. There are many individuals where sometimes in a conversation, I'll be with a few brothers or sisters and a name will come up, right? Or an individual will come up. And I'll say, yeah, I met so-and-so brother or sister or uncle, auntie, whatever. Yeah, they were really nice to me, really helpful, blah, blah, blah. I'll say something like that. So the individual, again, a upstanding community member who's been here, like, you don't know what I know. What are you saying? What are you trying to tell me? It's like, you don't want to know what I know. Do you think by phrasing it like that, you're doing that other person a favor? Do you think you're doing your own nafs and soul a favor by saying something like that? Is there any place where the quality of a mu'min is to shut down and destroy the dignity of another mu'min or mu'minah like that? Now, somebody might be rationalizing to themselves, well, I'm not saying exactly what they've done. No, but don't play games. You know exactly what you're doing. What you're trying to do is, with me or with somebody else that you're talking to who doesn't know, you're trying to share information without sharing the information, right? You're trying to be smarter than Allah, pretty much, right? So, I won't say the thing out loud so it's not ghibah, but at least I'll say it in a way that they know that, this person's dignity, don't talk about him so highly. Don't talk about her so highly. He's actually down here. He's down here. Unfortunately, a lot of individuals that I've come across with have done things like that. And this is a quality that destroyed the relationships between the mu'mineen during the times of the A'immah as well. That wikala system, the wilayah system that was building up, the Shias were getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Ma'mun, Harun, the rest, they saw all this. They said, you know what? I'm going to make these people fight amongst themselves. I don't have to go and physically knock them out. I'll just, spread some rumors or make sure their bad akhlaq destroys them from within. Perhaps this is why we see so many narrations where the imams have to correct the Shia's behavior and their ideas about how to behave with one another. And it's sort of sad that we have to, speak like this to one another, that, we shouldn't be speaking bad about one another. I mean, we say that to our kids, but why is it that adults are doing things like this? That they feel that it's okay to go and, again, cut somebody's name down. This happened to, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't bring it with me, but I remember there's, I think, a narration from our fourth Imam, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Where pretty much same situation, right? The Imam and one of his close companions, they were there, and the name of somebody else came up, right? Another Shia, another companion. So of course, the Imam already has a good idea about this person in mind. This other person that was there, this other so-called companion or Shia, says, oh, do you know so-and-so said this about you? And the Imam says, why did you do that? Why did you do that? He said, now you've made two sins. You've made two errors. One is that in my eyes, now the person that, that we're talking about, who I thought was great, now you've tried to lower him in my eyes, right? So now that person, he's reduced because of what you said. But more importantly, you have been reduced in my eyes because of what you said. I thought before that you were a trustworthy, honest, upstanding mu'min. But now I know you can't be trusted. Because, and we know this from experience. If somebody is willing to do that for at least one person, then they're probably willing to do it for everybody. If they're willing to do it for one individual, then who's to say they're not going to do it for you and I? Maybe, you feel like, oh, this person's my friend, they're giving me the insider information, right? Because we're close. Yeah, but maybe behind your back they're doing the same thing to another group or to somebody else. So we have to be very, very careful of these sort of spiritual diseases that exist within our circles and stamp them out right away. And when you hear somebody about to say things like this, we need to remember this narration, which comes from our eighth Imam, Imam Ar-Ridah, alayhi salatu wasalam. He's reported to have said that one can't be a true mu'min unless he possesses the following three traits. One is from his Rabb, one is from his Rasul, and one is from the Imams. So what three traits? The one from his Rabb is the fact that Allah, his Rabb, Azza wa Jal, is the one who is Alimul Ghaib and Sattarul Uyub. Allah is the one who hides all of our defects. Allah is the one who covers all of these things. Now think about it. This is how we respect Allah. Like Allah, we know all of us have a lot of red in our ledger. We've got a lot of mistakes on us, a lot of sins, a lot of things that we don't want people to know about. Alhamdulillah that Allah covers up a lot of that, hopefully most of that. What does it say about our character, about who we are, if we go against a direct name of Allah and go and spread information like this? Even if it's true, we go and spread and destroy somebody's dignity, spread their bad characteristics. That literally makes us the Antichrist or Dajjal or anti-God. Na'udhu billah. We are literally standing against the name of Allah. He covers the defects and we reveal them. So this is one thing definitely we must remember of trying to have this trait of our Rabb, that the same Rabb that we want to cover our defects, we need to be able to cover other defects of other people as well. Now the trait from the Rasul, he said, is about treatment, the Rasul's treatment with one another, with people. He said, Allah, our Rabb, has ordered the Rasul to treat people with kindness, right? To be patient with people. And of course, this is something we'll need to be too. We have to do as well. It's very clear that there are going to be people in the community that we don't get along with, and they're going to try our patience, right? Their behavior is something that, it's just annoying. Trust me, right? I've dealt with a few of you. Yeah, it can get a little annoying. We all have to tolerate. That's okay. We're not all supposed to just be on the same page. It's not going to happen. That's unreasonable. But we can be patient, right? So, if somebody happens to have, some, like garlic chutney masala before they come to the center, and they're right in my face without a mask speaking with me, alhamdulillah, I'll have to smile and just take it. It's okay. It's not a big deal, right? It's my fault for not bringing some keto-friendly mints to the center, right? That's my own fault, right? So now I would be able to share it, right? So that's my problem. So sometimes we have to tolerate these things. We have to be kind, because you know what? I'm sure there's plenty of other things, right? Like maybe somebody's got ripped socks or whatever that I was told about today, and now I got to go sock shopping, of course, which I love to do. But we have these things, these small little issues that we have to get taken care of, and then we shouldn't blow it out of proportion. The Prophet was treating all these individuals with kindness, even the ones who were pretty much out to kill him as well. His own family members, he was going and checking up on them. So yes, these individuals who are just tough for us to deal with, at the very least, we can tolerate, smile, say salam, khudafis, and kind of be on our way. No reason to harbor that rage and hate, intolerance in our hearts. So that's the second characteristic. And what's the final one? This one comes from the Imams. It's pretty much the same thing, right? He says from the Imams, it's that patience and perseverance, but this one is during times of hardship and calamities. When we're dealing with bala, when things are taking place, when things get rough in the community, that's when it's, we either make it or we break it. And that's when it's easy for us, or it should be easy for us to remember the Ahlul Bayt, to remember the Imam specifically. Say, look, there are definitely things, right? We deal with deaths in the community. We're dealing with people in financial distress. We have people in health crises. We've got, fights between family members, between community members. We have other types of issues that are going on. Things can get rough. Things can be very, very difficult. Now, the easiest thing for a lover and follower of Ahlul Bayt is just to say, look, all these issues and these calamities, the bala that are here, do any of them stack up to the bala and the trials and tribulations of the Ahlul Bayt? Any of the things we're dealing with at all? Of course, we can take it to the extreme and just compare it to the bala and the musibah of Imam Hussein. That would be the easiest thing. But you can take a look and pick any single imam, and take your own tragedy, compare it and say, look, do my things really compare to any of them? If you, let's say, there was a certain thing that you deserved, you really deserved it, and a community member or somebody else, they took it out of your hands. Do you think that position, whether in the corporate world or in the community or whatever it was, do you really think that it's more important than Khilafah, which was stolen from every single imam? Your position in a company or whatever was more important than Khilafah? No. What about wealth? I was supposed to do this, and this community member, I trusted them, and they cheated me out of wealth. Okay. What about the individuals who had stolen wealth from the imams, who went to the rulers and had the rulers imprison the imams, right? So the same thing. We can always remember the examples of the Ahlul Bayt and see that, look, I'm not saying that our hardships and trials are not difficult. Yeah, there's something that we have to deal with. But if we let that stress and anxiety get to us, and it causes us to lose our patience and not persevere, that's where we have broken the limit. So the limit here, again, these three traits that the eighth Imam is saying. One is from Ar-Rabb, which is that we have to make sure that we conceal everybody's defects, because Allah is the one who's a concealer of defects. Like the Rasul, the Prophet, we are kind, we're tolerant and patient with other people. And like the Imams, we are patient and persevere through these trials and difficulties. If we can stick to these three traits, if we can remember that the ghurba that may exist right now in our communities, where mu'mineen are not able to connect because they're looking for people to be on the same wavelength. If we can see that sometimes the ignorance of other individuals pushes us aside, then at least if we keep this in our mind, we know that, okay, this ghurba, this alienation exists. Now our job to try to make a wilaya-ready community is to make sure we start chipping away at these instances of alienation little by little. If every single individual for themselves, for their family members, tries to cut away at that ghurba and tries to reconnect, just a few of those relationships, then you'll see that the network between all of us as community members will get stronger and stronger. And then, inshallah, very quickly, our wilaya, wikala system will be ready, and we'll be all ready as supporters for the Imam when he returns, inshallah ta'ala. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Okay, so let's now go to the quiz, which I still unable to see. I don't have a TV in front of me either, because I don't know, I can't connect to the internet here for some reason. Ahsantum, thank you. Over here? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we got 17 people logged in so far. So assalamu alaikum to everybody. Zainab Hussein, Mujahid Jan Muhammad, Amina Laka, Abbas Suleiman, Tahtul Hanak. Hasan, thank you for changing the Q to a K. Hadi Ali Sabah, the Darkling. I don't know. Is that a reference to, no, I don't know. No, never mind. Let me Halal Hani. Is Haram Hani here too? Yusuf Ali, Qamber, PSP, Wakil, Specialists, QWERTY, Alina. Okay, so we have 32 people. I think that's good enough to start. So, good luck everybody. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sun Summoner? That's a little shirky. That's a little. You starting or what's going on over there? Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. So according to some narrations, who gave the 8th Imam alayhi salam his title of Ar-Ridah? Was it Allah, Rasulullah, Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam, or Ma'mun? So all of these are plausible because they've all shown up in different situations, because sometimes a father is the one who gives the title. Sometimes we've seen that Rasulullah has given titles to future Imams. Ma'mun, maybe, maybe not. And Allah, well, that's the easy answer. And the easy answer was the right answer. Right? It was actually Allah who had given him the title of Ar-Ridah. Right? And this was passed down through the Imams. Okay, let's go to the second one. He was named Ar-Ridah because he would always try to please others. He was always pleased with others. He was loved by all Muslims, or he was loved by Allah. I mean, the clue was in the answer before, by the way. Okay, so most of you use the context clues. So yes, he was loved by Allah. That was why he was given the title by Allah Ar-Ridah. Okay, number 3. The 8th Imam alayhi salam's sister, alayha salam, is buried in Qum. Her name is Fatima, Radiya, Ma'suma, or Zainab. Man, it sounds like you guys are having a party back there. What's going on? So I think this is a trick question for a few individuals who may have only half paid attention to what the question is asking. Remember, I'm asking for her name. I could be asking for her title or nickname. Ahsantum. So 53% of you were not tricked. Her name is Fatima. The title she was given was Ma'asuma. So we call her Bibi Ma'asuma by her title, just like we say Imam Ar-Ridah. We usually refer to them by their titles, not their first names. But she is Fatima al-Ma'asuma. Hey, what happened? Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Hasan. Kun fayakun. Okay, last one. And this one I couldn't mixed up because Slido did it itself. Along with oxygen, which element is primarily responsible for the sky appearing blue? Hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, or helium? Okay. Are you guys actually consulting with one another? What's going on? This has never happened before in Slido quiz history. Okay, so I think, was the answer? Yeah, okay. Okay. Why was that the question that you're most excited about? Now I know what wavelength you guys are on. Okay. Inshallah, we'll, congrats, right? Okay, to Ali. Very good. Ali, the only one who got all 4 out of 4, although it took him a little while to get there, but alhamdulillah. Better late than never. So congratulations, Wakil, Jabir, F, and Zahra. All of you also got 3 out of 4. Relatively similar timings. So good luck, congratulations to all of you as well. Okay, we will see you all inshallah Thursday night. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Ahl Bayt at-Tayyibin at-Tahirin. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salawat.
أفضل السلام محمد وآل محمد या शाह खुरासान या वारिस कुरान या मौला रज़ा जान या मौला रज़ा जान या शाह खुरासान या वारिस कुरान या मौला रज़ा जान या मौला रज़ा जान जन्नत का नज़ारा रोज़ा है तुम्हारा देखा जो तेरा दर दिल मेरा पुकारा तुम फर्श के मालिक तुम अर्श के सुल्तान या मौला रज़ा जान या मौला रज़ा जान या शाह खुरासान या वारिस कुरान या मौला रज़ा जान या मौला रज़ा जान मशहद की शबों में दिन के इशारे दिन रात मुसलसल ज़ाहिर है तुम्हारे सब जिन्नो मलाइक हर नस्ल के इंसान या मौला रज़ा जान या मौला रज़ा जान या शाह खुरासान या वारिस कुरान या मौला रज़ा जान या मौला रज़ा जान ऐ वाली मशहद ऐ वारिस हैदर चौखट पे तुम्हारी रखना था मुझे सर सद शुक्र के तुमने पूरा किया अरमान या मौला रज़ा जान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या शाह खुरासान, या वारिस कुरान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या मौला रज़ा जान। बढ़ती है दिलों में हर दम तेरी चाहत, सदियों से हमारे दिल पर है हुकूमत, ये दिल भी फिदा है, ये जान है कुर्बान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या शाह खुरासान, या वारिस कुरान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या मौला रज़ा जान। बाजों पे मेरे जो सिक्का ये बंधा है, ऐ ज़ामिन आहू, ऐ ज़ामिन तो मेरा है, हर एक कदम है तू मेरा निगहबान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या शाह खुरासान, या वारिस कुरान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या शाह खुरासान, या वारिस कुरान, या मौला रज़ा जान, या मौला रज़ा जान। अफ़ज़लुस सलाम मुहम्मदिन व आले मुहम्मद।
Assalamu alayka ya Rasulallah, Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Assalamu alayki ya Fatimatu Zahra, Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen, Assalamu alayka ya Hasan al-Mujtaba, Assalamu alayki ya Ukhtika Zainab, Assalamu ala al-Hussein, wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussein, wa ala awlad al-Hussein, wa ala ashab al-Hussein, جميعا شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولى وابن مولى، السلام عليك يا غريب الغربة، السلطان أبو الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا إمام صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهر الله تعالى مخرجك وزهورك وجعلنا من أنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على.
Thank you.